Hey guys and girls, it is another What We Know So Far video. This one is on Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain. So, I played Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes. I actually bought the game when it came out. I do think it was overpriced, but I did really enjoy it. And one of the biggest things with that game was the gameplay mechanics were just so awesome and amazing and worked so well. And it did definitely get me excited for this game. So, here's a little bit of an information video on what we know so far about this game. So it's going to be released, well, Kojima hasn't really given a specific release date. He's still keeping that very close to his chest, but we do have a rough idea of it. It's going to be either fourth quarter in 2014, just in time for Christmas, or possibly at the beginning of next year. It's going to be available on PS4, PS3, PC, Xbox One, and Xbox 360. The game actually is a complete sequel to Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes. It picks up 9 years roughly after the events of Ground Zeroes, and at the beginning we find that Snake, or Big Boss in this case, is in a coma. Beginning of the game he wakes up from a coma, and pretty much the rest of the game is kind of a revenge sort of mission. He ventures into Afghanistan, which is set during the Soviet War, and his main goal is to exact revenge on those that actually destroyed his base and also his troops, his militia. Now, a lot of people are thinking this is actually going to be the rise of Big Boss. So all the previous games, you know, he really was Snake. He was kind of a good guy, you know, helping people. But this is actually going to be the case where he is actually, his character is going to become much darker. And we should see, hopefully, the rise of Big Boss. And we should see a more familiar character that we were used to in the earlier games. Because obviously Big Boss was a villain in that. So we're going to see him actually become a little bit darker, a little bit more angry, a little bit more vengeful. There are some familiar characters in there, so Ocelot's going to be in there. Now, obviously, we know that Ocelot collaborated quite significantly with Big Boss, so it's going to be very interesting to see all these new characters and allies that he's going to make, and what's going to happen with those relationships. Now, his basic goal during the game is Big Boss, or Snake, rebuilds and creates a new mercenary group, and they're called the Diamond Dogs, and also he's creating a new mother base, and that's his goal throughout the game, which is just basically to rebuild his forces. Now, during this revenge mission, basically Big Boss is going to uncover a much larger plot by the Cypher organization, and of course, like all previous Metal Gear Solid games, it's a plot revolving around the building or development of a weapon which is going to be a big threat to the world, and apparently it's going to be more powerful than the Metal Gear series that we've seen previously. Now, a new thing with Kojima is he wants to make this game completely open world, and so one of the ways that he's offering that is he's going to actually allow players to choose in what order they actually play the story. So you will choose to take on certain missions, and that will affect the events in the story. You will understand the overall story as a whole, I think, but you'll be able to do things in a different order. That very much reminds me of the first Mass Effect game, where there was an overriding story throughout, but you could take on certain missions in a different order, and that actually affected some of the story and the consequences. It'll be interesting to see if that's actually going to happen in Metal Gear Solid Phantom Pain. So the actual gameplay, well, at Gamescom they showed, I think it was a 15-minute gameplay demo. Gameplay, again, looks awesome. Snake's movement looks fast and fluid. We actually got to see him a little bit on horseback, so we got to see him interacting with the terrain a little bit, interacting with some of the animals in the world, and yeah, one of the biggest key things in this game is stealth. That's going to be the largest element to this game. So Snake is going to be equipped, of course, with lots of gadgets and gizmos. You have, you know, lots of weapons. You have your typical, he has his trank dart, his tranquilizer gun, assault rifle, pistol, shotgun, sniper rifle, all those kinds of things. You have grenades and explosives, and you have obviously more your binoculars as well, which allows you to tag people within the level and actually scope out an area before you decide to go in. So you can try to go in either completely stealthy or go in you know, in a much more aggressive manner, and that obviously is going to lead to a lot of replayability. Another thing that's going to really help with replayability in this game as well is something called situational awareness. So the AI in the game are going to be much better than previous installments, and they're going to have something, like I said, called situational awareness. This is basically where the game is going to actually adapt to the player's actions. So for example, if you play one mission the first time through and you overuse a certain weapon or a certain technique, let's say for example you take out all of the enemy AI using headshots with the tranq dart, in the second time that you actually play that same mission, it's going to be much more difficult. So there might be more troops, so it's more difficult to infiltrate that area. Those troops might actually start to wear helmets, so that's going to make doing headshots nigh impossible or a lot more difficult. And it's just going to add a lot of replayability. It's going to make it very interesting and very challenging the more times through you play the game, which is kind of cool. Another thing as well that Kojima really wants to include in this game is real time. So the game actually has a new day and night cycle, and that runs completely in real time, and that basically can mean that, and depending on how you travel from one stage to the next, whether you travel by car or plane or horseback or you walk, that's actually going to affect the time of day when you actually arrive at your destination. Now you can override that with something called the e-cigar, and that it's a little bit of a cheap mechanism really, where you can speed up time. So for example, if you want to infiltrate a base but it's very difficult during the day, you can smoke a cigar, chill out, relax, stretch out on the mountain or whatever you want to do, let time go by until it's nighttime, and then you're in the perfect conditions to actually infiltrate into that area. Now I'm not a big fan of this e-cigar. I think it's a little bit of a cheap mechanism. It makes it much too easy, the gameplay. I don't like that, but I do like the whole real-time day and night scenario. I think that's really cool. Now this world is going to be much much bigger. Apparently it's going to be 300 times bigger than Ground Zeroes, I heard, and you will be able to traverse that world much more easily. So you can either go by car, you can steal a tank if you want to, on horseback, you can take a helicopter, a plane. It's entirely up to you how you want to traverse this open world, but the idea is that you can explore where you want, and there's going to be a wide variety of locations, so that should be pretty cool. Now, the new returning element that is a big thing that Kojima's been talking about is the mother base. This is the huge customization section of the game, and that's where basically you have your own base that you can customize, and you can fit with certain weapons or tanks or equipment, or however you want to do it. Now, when you're playing the actual game, if you take down an enemy or you trank them and put them to sleep, you can actually tag them, which is pretty cool. And what that will do is it puts like a kind of parachute on them. They'll go up into the air, and then the helicopter will come and collect them away and take them back to your base. These troops can actually be trained and will join your force, your diamond dogs. And obviously you can take things like jeeps, or you can even steal a goat if you want to. I think that was shown as being one thing that you could do. I think they stole a sheep or a goat or something. Now, it's a little bit unrealistic if you ask me. I mean, there was one side where they showed where you tagged this big jeep and it pulled it up into the air like it weighed paper, like it weighed nothing. So it's very unrealistic. It obviously isn't based in real physics, because that would be impossible in real life. But I think it's a fun element, and it's quite amusing to see you like tagging goats and sheep and horses and jeeps and tanks, and if you see something like, oh, I like that tank, I'm going to yoink it. It's kind of fun, and it's kind of amusing to actually see that happen. So that's kind of cool. Now, the biggest thing that was revealed at Gamescom as well in terms of the gameplay was the return of the cardboard box. Now, this cardboard box is incredibly amusing. It's Kojima all around, and basically what it is, you just hide in this cardboard box. You can creep forward, but you can actually put certain pictures on there and use it in a stealthy way. So I think there's one where it showed like, you know, a beautiful woman on the other side or something, or a model, whatever, on the other side, and I think Snake stands up and the guard runs towards it, and he's obviously gulping at this picture, and then you basically jump out and, you know, take him out and punch him. Another one showed where you had a soldier that was saluting, and the guard will think that you're a soldier and will just walk off. Another one was where you could actually slide out of the box to go into cover. Lots of different things. Now, the cardboard box is very amusing and it's very, very funny as a game mechanism, and I think I'm going to get a lot of lols out of it and it's going to be quite funny. But as a game mechanic, it's kind of cheap. It's a little bit overpowered. I'm going to call it the cardboard box of death because that's what it's going to be. And it just does make the enemy AI look dumb. It really does, which is quite amusing. So yeah, I think it's funny. I think it's really funny, but I probably aren't going to use it too much because I'm going to just feel like I'm cheating all the time when I'm playing the game. And I like a challenge when I play a game, so I don't think I'm going to use that because it'll just make the gameplay too easy. But anyway, so that's what we know so far about Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain. So what do you guys think of this game? Are you going to buy it? I am actually going to pre-order this game and get it on day one, I think, because I am very much looking forward to it. Let me know what you guys think of this game and what you guys think of some of these new game mechanics that have been revealed by Kojima. What do you think of the cardboard box? What do you think of the tagging? Do you like them? Or like me, do you think they're a little cheap? Alright then, guys and girls, if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button to show your support as always. If there are any games that you'd like me to do videos on, games that are coming out and you want me to talk about them, please pop that in the comment section below. Let me know. I won't know otherwise. But I'll be back again next week with another What We Know So Far video on the next video game that I'm excited about. Alright guys and girls, have a great day. Take care and happy gaming.
Phantom cigar.
Yeah.